This video is going to talk to you about the pros and cons of fish farming, as well as my personal opinion on it. Fish farming is one of the main forms of aquaculture. It involves raising fish in tanks, cages, or other means of enclosures. The purpose of fish farming is for human benefits such as food or even used for commercial sporting. The main species of fish used for these benefits are carp, striped bass, tilapia, sturgeon, trout, salmon, and catfish. The positives of fish farming are that they are usually free of environmental contaminants, great supply of fish, and produce a lot of jobs for people. Fish farms have a positive effect on human health. An example of this is that the fish from fish farms are usually free from environmental contaminants, such as mercury and other heavy metals, because of the fact that they eat primarily human processed food, where the toxin levels are being regulated. Another positive from fish farms is their great supply of fish. In areas that may not be gifted with the ability to have steady amounts of fish, fish farms allow them to generate a balanced amount of it. The fish species are able to be monitored and are cared for so that they can steadily reproduce a supply of that fish species. The final positive effect that fish farms have on the biodiversity of ecosystems is the production of many jobs. Fish farming is estimated to be a third of Canada's total fisheries value, at about 20% of all seafood production. These statistics show how big of an impact fish farms have on the Canadian economy. The negative effects of fish farms on the biodiversity of ecosystems is the breakdown of an ecosystem, water contamination, and the use of drugs and pesticides. Fish farming may have moments where a certain fish species get out of the cage or enclosure. If this happens, the fish may merge in with another species of fish population, which may result in an invasive species spreading or the whole ecosystem falling apart. In a scenario where a fish species is brought into a new area, that species may create a new species that can slowly destroy the ecosystem in that area. Fish farms have a negative effect on water contamination. When all of these fish are in one little area, it can lead to excessive waste and lots of unused food. When this food and waste are put into an area, it can start to contaminate and pollute the water. When the fish farm is being used in the ocean, the buildup of waste and leftover food can create a dead zone. Fish farms use pesticides to avoid pest infestation. They also use drugs to help prevent sickness and disease in the fish. Although it helps the fish, the use of pesticides and drugs are not good towards human health. If a fish is given a drug that is not good towards the health of a human, then it can result in the consumer getting an illness or disease. I am against fish farming because of the negative effects that fish farms have on human health, as well as the negative effects it has on the biodiversity of ecosystems. Fish farming has shown to have the risk of fish escaping the cages or enclosures. Because of this, the ecosystem is put at risk of having to worry about an invasive species spreading that could potentially ruin the whole ecosystem. Secondly is the fact that the fish are going to produce feces, which will result in the water becoming contaminated. When there is a giant group of fish all put into one area, unless the water is constantly being cleaned and treated, then there is going to be a buildup of feces, which will only result in the water becoming contaminated. Another reason why I'm against fish farming is the potential negative effect that it can have on human health. Fish farms use drugs in order to prevent disease and sickness in the fish. These drugs may not always be safe towards the health of humans, and could potentially result in illness in the consumer. That is something that is serious and should be made sure has no negative effect towards the health of the consumer. Next, we have the fact that fish farms may end up destroying the aquatic ecosystem in order to achieve a stable fish farm. To create a fish farm, there must be an area where the enclosure is kept. For example, making a fish farm out of a small river or lake. This can result in some fish losing their homes or even being taken out of the lake or river. Finally, is that some fish farms are genetically modifying the fish in order to grow them at a faster speed. This can have a negative effect on human health because the fish farms are injecting growth hormones in these fish. It can result in illness in the consumer's health. All of these reasons are why I'm against fish farms and their negative effects they have on human health, as well as the negative effects they have on the biodiversity of ecosystems.
Created using Powtoon.